Half of the body of the guard finally crawled out of the sewer, but was dragged down by a force. Who would have thought that there was a group of human-shaped monsters in the underground factory? They are 100 times more terrible than the legendary zombie. Not only do they have a speed comparable to that of a leopard, but they can also set traps to lure prey to the hook. The story begins with a military operation 2 years ago. A special force landed in an abandoned underground factory. Their mission is to eliminate the mutants hidden in it. The only information the soldiers get is that these monsters are very fragile on the ground, but they are very strong on the ground. Soon they confront the mutants face to face. However, they are much more ferocious than expected. They stand down in one fell swoop, and the whole special force is almost annihilated. The only survivor crawled out of the vent under the cover of his teammates. Unfortunately, he was still dragged back by the mutants. The terrible truth is buried under the ground. 2 years have passed. This place has long been classified as a restricted area by the military, but a group of young people who don't want to die have ignored the ban. They secretly came here to hold a panic party. The loud music echoes throughout the area. Young men and women dance with the rhythm. When the atmosphere reaches the peak, a slender pig's hand reaches out to the hot golden-haired girl. Her boyfriend, Mao Zige, is infuriated. Soon he fights with the Gauga. Neither side is convinced. They call out to their companion, but they don't want the Gauga to be ungrateful, so they pulled out a pistol. Mao Zige's group of people turned around and fled into the abandoned factory. Seeing that the Gauga was still desperate, they hid in the airlock and locked the door. De Gauga was so angry that he locked the iron door outside. Mao Zige, who was trapped, and others were all panicked. The surface of the door is covered with thick iron skin. It's impossible for violence to break through the door. And the place is remote, and no one will pass by. Jason is a retired soldier. At a glance, you can see that the architectural style here is very similar to the standard underground military. Every floor will have an emergency exit. People can't think of a better way. They can only try to find another exit. Jason is really familiar with this place. Soon they found the emergency gas light switch. Although the light is not enough, it is enough for everyone to shine. But people soon encountered a new problem. The passage here is a mess. Don't say you're looking for an exit. Maybe you'll get lost in it. This time, Jason gave everyone a fixed door. The second exit must be on the other floor. Soon they found the stairs to the next floor, but the wooden steps are old and rusty. It can be damaged at any time. Jason let everyone split into 2 teams. A few ladies passed first. He, his comrade Ali, and another couple followed. But when everyone was halfway there, the corroded wooden board completely collapsed. Everyone came to the next floor with safety, but this staircase is completely destroyed. The only way out is gone. They can only keep going. But soon, there was no way ahead. There was only a half-man-high tunnel in the corner. His comrade Ali turned on the lighter and looked in. He saw a pair of green eyes. However, everyone thought he was dazzled. What time is it now? Don't scare yourself. In order to reassure his friends, Ali decided to go again. This time, nothing was found. But after all this mess, no matter what people say, they won't follow this tunnel. They can only search in other directions. As a result, the next moment, the sound of a metal crash came. Jason guessed it was caused by the fall of the metal pipe. I don't know if it was because of the shock. The copper-shaped curly hair was shouting to pee. There was a bathroom in the middle. He was busy walking in, but just pulled down the zipper. A mutant crashed into a real-life figure. The whole body was paralyzed under the curly hair. The mutant was furious. Even his ears were pulled down. Others heard the noise and rushed into the bathroom. They hurriedly pulled the curly hair out, but the other party was covered in blood and couldn't say a word. Everyone was also very confused. What attacked his friend? For safety reasons, they found an open space to rest for a while. Jason proposed a cruel reality. If we run with curly hair, we will definitely slow down. When everyone was in a dilemma, the mutant suddenly jumped off the pipe. Everyone got off instinctive. Only the curly hair could not move. It was carried away by the mutant. Jason reacted quickly. He was busy turning around to chase the mutant. He saw the curly hair stuck in the pipe. Everyone worked hard to pull him out, but the curly hair's head was gone. Several girls screamed and ran away. Jason and Ali were calm. They have seen a lot of tragedy on the battlefield. Remind everyone that the more this is the case, the calmer they should be. Who knew the golden-haired girl would see the scary scene again? A mutant was floating in a giant water box. Everyone was instinctively backing up. Jason's girlfriend, Ali, took the initiative. She thought she wanted to defeat the enemy. She had to get to know the other party first. At the next moment, the mutant opened his eyes in the water box. I didn't expect this guy to be alive. Everyone was scared. They all ran to the other side. As a result, a mutant appeared in the middle of the fight. He directly grabbed the girl at the back. Jason and others immediately fell back. However, the ground was built with metal nets. After a period of high-speed dragging, the girl had already lost her flesh and blood. This time, Everyone felt the mutants' terror. Fortunately, Jason and Ali cheered up. Everyone didn't collapse on the spot. They carefully touched the miscellaneous objects. They all found a weapon. Everyone was a little angry. Suddenly, the water pipe came up. Jason immediately warned everyone to be careful. However, the mutant was too fast. A flash took away Neo Ellie. Jason rushed into the water pipe without hesitation. He didn't expect that these mutants were not mindless beasts. After knocking over Ellie, Jason tied her up perfectly. While the mutant was leaving, Jason saved the girl. At this time, everyone was able to measure the surrounding environment. I guess this is the mutant's hideout. Many miscellaneous objects on the ground should have been left by the victim. Jason found a weapon. Unfortunately, there was no bullet. However, someone found a camera left by a special force 2 years ago. After watching the video, everyone finally learned a lot. It turned out that this building was a research base built by the military. The mutant was actually a product of a failed experiment. However, at this time, they are not in the mood to control the military. At present, the most important thing is to leave as soon as possible. It was not easy to climb back to the previous passage. A loud water pipe was heard again. Everyone was busy to guard their bodies. As a result, the mutant sneaked out from the other side and dragged the black-haired girl into the narrow passage without effort. Jason could only scream outside. He watched his friends being devoured by monsters. Now there are only 5 survivors left. Jason endured the sorrow and continued to look for an exit. As soon as he passed the corridor, several pools appeared in front of him. As a result, Ellie had a bold idea. Will those monsters lurk in the water? As a result, the sound of words just fell. An arm popped out of the water. The Hat Man could not stand up and was dragged into the pool. Everyone was standing on the shore, but they saw a head popping out of the water. There was also a broken palm in his mouth. Jason was infuriated by this provocative behavior and screamed into the water. As a result, he really found the broken Hat Man. Unfortunately, the mutant was more powerful in the water. In a blink of an eye, he disappeared with the Hat Man. The 4 people on the scene were in a good mood. Jason continued to look for an emergency exit with a gloomy face. In the fog, he walked into the base lab. They found more truth here. The old man in the video is the creator of the mutant. His original intention was to create a biological weapon to kill enemies on the battlefield in place of ordinary soldiers. This research did not go well at first. The survival rate of the mutant was so poor that he changed to use the body of a young woman as a container. After the experimental body was born, it was fed with blood every day. Although it solved the problem of survival rate, the mutant also had infectiousness. Any human bitten could be mutated. What happened later, the 4 people can also guess. The staff involved in the experiment was unfortunately infected. Then the whole research base followed. Ellie seemed to be very rational and wanted to find a drug to restrain the mutant. However, at this time, the surrounding lights suddenly went out and several mutants came up. Ellie panicked and thought that the monster might be afraid of fire, so she raised no light to give everyone a break. It was not easy to cover everyone out of the lab. Her abdomen was also caught by the mutant. In a panic, the blonde escaped into another room and met the experimental person in the video. It's been so many years. This bad old man is not dead yet. At this time, he was still immersed in the pride of creating a new species. He kept introducing the mutant to the blonde. The latter thought that the old man would let himself go, but his eyes accidentally caught it. The old man took the opportunity to whistle. The mutant seemed to be summoned and ran over to kill the blonde. It turned out that the previous whistling was the old man bluffing, and the 3 mutants on this side came over quickly in the sound of whistling. This time, the old man had the mutants guard and chose to show up. The mutants did not dare to fight back. They sprayed each other with some garbage. The situation was about to go out of control. Ellie broke through the library directly. A few people took the opportunity to escape the aisle. The mutant was still desperate. The mutant was afraid of fire and could only retreat to the dark. However, the roads in the base were all over the place. In addition, the light group could not see the road clearly. The 3 people were attacked by the mutants again. In the chaos, they were forced to run away. Jason and his girlfriend ran into a dead end. He ran out of the fire again. This was the only way to defeat the mutants. However, Ellie was not so lucky. She was attacked by several mutants alone. When Jason and his girlfriend arrived, Ellie had fallen to the ground. Before she died, she just wanted to end the pain early. Jason cried and killed his comrade. Now there are only him and his girlfriend left. Jason can't help but feel sad. On the top of the base, a police car was coming. The parents of the mutant could not contact their daughter. The next morning, they chose to call the police. When the police got off the car and looked around, Jason and his girlfriend were in a good mood and continued to look for the exit. They found a light behind the door. When they opened the door, they saw a pile of bones. However, on the top of the base, there was an opening to the ground. Fortunately, the woman passed by. After that, Jason tried to stop the mutant. Ellie opened the iron cover with the help of the policewoman. The two of them finally climbed to the ground. They just wanted to escape as soon as possible. However, the policewoman was curious about what was underneath. At the next moment, she was dragged down by the mutant. Unfortunately, the policewoman climbed up again. Unfortunately, the lower body did not fly. Jason and his girlfriend drove the police car out of the base. When they returned home, there was still a trace of their heart. The companions who were with each other day and night were gone. In a daze, Ellie sat up from the bed. She saw Jason squatting on the ground and spitting blood. Unexpectedly, the other party was infected with the mutant virus. At the next moment, Ellie woke up from the bed. It turned out that it was just a dream. The two of them were lying down and ready to continue sleeping. Jason's cell phone suddenly rang. He picked it up and looked at it. He was caught in the water by the mutant and did not die. Instead, he was taken to the lab. I guess it's scarier to welcome him than death. That's the end of the story. As for whether Jason and his girlfriend were infected or not, how did the people in the base end up? There is no explanation in the video. Some people say that it is enough to match the dark and clear version of the movie. There are several scenes where the shots are similar, but it's still a little bit worse in terms of creating a horror atmosphere. If you like this kind of video, you can also go to see the original film. At least it's better than most of the bloody film. I just don't know why it's not very famous. Okay, that's it for today. If you like it, you can keep an eye on it. See you next time.